confusing and annoying. This thing's gonna have more braces than an awkward teenager. Well, hi. Welcome back to Lefty's Fabrication. Today we are continuing work on our 2012 Dodge Avenger Racecar project. First things first, ladies and gentlemen, I need to get all this tar crap out of the trunk. It's here, and it's here. And it's very in my way if I want to weld anything inside of this trunk. So I need to figure out how to remove it. Now the best way I've come up with so far, because I have been playing around with it a little bit, is I take this body hammer and I go wham! Like 100 times per square inch, and it comes off. I've gone just as far as my attention span will allow me to go. So it's time to start measuring for the frame that's going to go on the inside of this trunk. Now I want the frame to be as big as physically possible so that I can add a bunch of bracing in here on top of that frame. I basically just want to go across here at the very back of the trunk and then all the way up to about here and then across the front where I'm laying down. And that should give the trunk quite a bit of support once the frame is welded into it. We need to measure from the very back to just past this bolt stud, just past the stud. I've decided to make the frame inside of the trunk out of this 2x3 inch square tubing because, well, I already had it. And I should have just enough. I've got 12 feet of this, so I should just have some left over when I'm done. It's looking like I might not be able to get this frame totally square. It's going to be off by just a smidge. By a smidge, I mean 3/4 of an inch, which is not really a smidge. Now that we have all of our pieces cut, we know where everything goes. I marked everything out in the trunk, pulled all the pieces out, and now I can take out all the paint and all the seam putty crap stuff. Now that we have the frame all tacked together, I've slid this piece of square tube in to try and figure out where I'm going to put my eventual brace that attaches the rub rails that go around the outside of the car, eventually, to the frame inside of the trunk so that my trunk doesn't get squished. It's just for extra bracing, making sure that everything stays okay, and it keeps this from getting squished. The all-important fuel door. I also have this lovely fuel filter right here, and a vent tube. This can't get squished, and I can't move it. So I need to brace up the trunk, at least on this corner, as well as I possibly can, because this corner happens to be the corner that gets hit the most. You're turning left, you're gonna get hit in the driver rear corner. And that's where my other car is messed up the most, is right here. There's kind of this weird thing in Trash Car where, like, you want to build the absolutely strongest car that you can, but at the same time there are physical rule limitations, and you also don't want to build an absolute tank. For one, it would make it way too heavy. You want your car as light as possible, because speed! You also don't want to ruin other people's cars. It's a pretty friendly racing environment. A lot of us are friends. And, you know, we're not out to destroy each other, we're out to beat each other. There's a difference. The idea is not to hit each other so hard that you take their car out. You're mostly just kind of, you know, what's the word? You're trying to aggressively persuade them to get out of your way. I just want to make it so that my car is stout enough that it can take some hits, and then I can divvy out a few if I were so inclined. I'm just trying to make it so it doesn't squish, you know, when I get hit, or when I hit somebody, because I'm gonna. We do have limitations as far as the rules go on what we can add to these cars, but there are some areas that are vague. It's pretty lenient as long as they can tell that you tried to follow the rules, and I'm gonna try.
I tend to have this propensity, an inkling, if you will, to overbuild absolutely everything that I've ever built. So I'm going to take this car to the absolute limit of what is agreeable, allowable, permissible, according to the rules. I'm out here to build a badass car, okay? I want to win! You ever forget to turn the gas on when you're welding? It's never happened to me.
And this is what happens when you push too hard. We've got the frame back in the trunk of the car. It's time to weld it out. Let's see how many fires I can start. I about have it all welded up now, except for this section right along here. There's a little bit too much of a gap underneath it for me to be able to weld it together, and I'd kind of like to be able to weld as much of it as I possibly can. So I need to come up with a solution for that particular problem.
Yeah, not too bad for an eyeball. Hi everyone. I know it's been only about, I don't know, 0.652 seconds since you last saw anything, but it's been a couple days for me. Surprisingly, I am an adult with a family and a job and stuff, so I haven't really had time to come out here. But I am out here now, and I've made these braces. I made 2 of them. They're not particularly beautiful. They are rather rusty, but they should do the trick. We're going to go put those in the trunk, and then we're going to add some more bracing on top of those. And then probably add some more bracing on top of those. This thing's going to have more braces than an awkward teenager. Now these steel turds that I have fabricated go right here in these corners, and that should keep this pipe from folding forward when we get smashed in the back end. You know, bungholed, ramrodded, you know what I mean? Well, hopefully that'll add quite a bit of strength to it. If you've noticed that I keep using 2 different measuring tapes, that's because I'll use this one for a while, then I'll set it down somewhere. Can't find it. Then all of a sudden I'll see the other one, so I'll use that one for a little bit. And then I'll lose that one, even though I've looked for like 10 minutes to try and find it. Then I'll find this one. So I'll just start using this one, and then the other one will pop up at some point, and then I have 2. Confusing and annoying.
There we are. The 3rd brace is in. These are all welded out as far as I can. It's kind of a downside that because I have welded the frame to the car, I can now no longer flip the frame over to weld the backside of things. So it is what it is, but 3 out of 4 is still a passing grade, and I'll take it. So now I'm going to do the cross braces inside the frame, meaning from this corner to this corner. I'm not going to this corner because I don't want to. Here's a little tip on how to do this. If you are really lazy or you're not particularly good at math. So what I've done is I've marked center on this tube right here, and I've marked the edge of the tube I want to use for this cross brace right here-ish. You can't see it, neither can I, because I'm looking through a tiny little screen. But what I've done is I cut my piece about 1 inch, 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches too long, and I'm going to set it right on my marks and then mark the bottom of it, and then I don't have to measure, I don't have to figure out my angles, and it'll get me close enough to where I can massage it later to get it to fit. You just gotta line it up with your marks, hold her down, give it a couple quick swipes. That should get me pretty darn close. You can see my mark on the underside there, and then my incredibly vague marks on that side.
You know what this means? We get to cross something off the magical list of things to do to this car. Cardboard edition. And it's right here. Whap. Reinforcing the trunk. It's all done. At least as far as I care to take it. Honestly, if I add any more to it, I think I'm just adding weight. I don't think I'm making it any better. Well, that took a lot longer than I thought it would, which is totally okay. You know, life happens. I've got other priorities, you know, a full-time job and a family to take care of. This isn't my daily thing yet, as much as I would love it to be. And what would really, really help me out is if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel. That would really move me towards my goal of being able to do YouTube full-time. And if not, I haven't earned it. We're not friends yet, but that's totally okay. I've decided to make the frame inside the trunk out of this to... Now that we have all of our pieces cut, we know everything goes. Now that we know... Dear Lord, I'm so terrible at this. Where'd he go?